Hi, everyone. Well, thanks for joining DTC for another webinar session. My name is Darren McHugh. I'm the VP of Sales and Business Development, and we are excited to have you with us once again for another webinar. Uh, um, just to sort of remind everybody, give everybody the backstory of why we started these. We've been doing dental IT for about 19 years now, and over the years and servicing well over 1,000 dental offices, we are continuing to be asked by the dental community for different resources and advice and on everything related to dental, from marketing to financing to patient communication, which brings us to today's webinar. And so we decided, you know what, let's find a group of people and partners who have proven solutions and let them share their knowledge base with the dental community through this format. So we started this I guess it was the third quarter or fourth quarter of last year, and have numerous webinars that are up on our website for viewing at any time. This is a free webinar series where all of these partners are donating their time and their knowledge to give us quick bits of information that could be helpful to a practice. So we are thankful for all of them. Just some housekeeping items before we get started. We are going to have everybody in listen-only mode. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, you can certainly type it into your question box there. We will see that come up on our panel. And we will do a Q&A at the end. So the content will be about 25-30 minutes long. Then we'll do the Q&A at the end. We will go ahead and post this webinar to our website within about a week or so, so that you can view it at your convenience, and are able to share it with other colleagues and other practices in your area. So all that being said, I'd like to welcome Jimmy Marciano from Lighthouse 360. He is going to go ahead and take us through the world of patient communication. The marketing topic, this marketing subject that we have for this quarter has been a big hit so far. We had Marketing 101 essentially with Jameson Consulting last week, and really got some great ideas from them on making sure that you have a plan. Jimmy is going to go ahead and shed some light on taking that even further to where you're really building the relationships with your client base, with your patient base. So I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy, and we're looking forward to Jimmy's presentation, and want to thank Jimmy in advance for his time.
Hey, thanks, Darren. Appreciate it. So like Darren mentioned, my name is Jimmy. A little bit of background on me. I've worked for Lighthouse for close to 5 years now. It was my first and only job welcoming me into the dental world, and I couldn't be happier to work for a better company. And what we're just going to touch on today for the next 25 minutes or so is based on the world of communication. Darren kind of hit it on the head there, and some of the nuances that kind of go on within dental offices, things that could be difficult to manage and look over. And there's a lot of companies out there, and then you all can make an evaluated decision of which one would fit your needs best. So like you said, if you have questions, please type them into the question box, or go ahead and write them down, because we will have a Q&A at the end for about 15 minutes. So the first thing that I really wanted to touch on here in regards to communication is how important the integration is with your management software. So a big benefit to, or a question that you would ask yourself when choosing which system is right for you is, one, does it have integration with the software that I work with? And two, how is that integration done? And from an IT perspective, you want something that's very non-abrasive. However, you want something that is a frequent syncer. So you definitely would like a program that can integrate very, very fast with your system. Now, in terms of efficiency tools, what a lot of companies give you are tools for you to utilize in the office to not only make sure that your patients are appreciative and happy of the way that they're getting communicated, but also these are reminders for your staff. So if you could, by any means, have a system that can piece together missing or incorrect information for patients, this is just a great way for your office staff members to stay on task and to make sure that we're gathering appropriate information from your patients coming in for the day before they exit. Because, I mean, the way that these systems work is the information that you have in your software is the information that we would use. So you want it to be as up to date and as frequently updated as possible. And so as you can see here, you know, on the right-hand side, those are items that are important. And then on the left-hand side is an organized list of things that we should gather from patients. Now, in terms of these messages going out, there's obviously a lot of pre-op instructions that need to be conveyed to patients. So when you're looking for a system, that's another big question you want to ask yourself is, you know, you don't want to generify your messages going out to your patients. You want it to be as customizable as possible. And little reminders like pre-med notifications or remember your night guard notifications, those are things that are important. And the benefit to having a system that fully integrates is that they could pull some of that from the coding, like the ADA codes, directly from your management software, as you can see here on the left-hand side. Now, it is also intuitive if you see a lot of families to make sure that communication is there for your families, but not over. So you don't want multiple messages going out to family members coming in on the same day. And so another question you want to ask yourself is, how are those families linked in the software, and can my communication system appropriately group those? This is all something that when you go through the process of looking for a system that you're definitely going to want to ask yourself. And I know that the majority of offices nowadays have websites, and you don't need to have one, but online presence is important. And if you so choose to have like patient forms or paperwork on your website, there's a lot of companies out there that are able to sync those forms to a new patient message, just taking one more thing off the plate of your office staff. Now, we do have an exclusive feature that we are rolling out, and you all that are here present are one of the few that know about this. We had a recent press release about 6 weeks ago or so in regards to this as well. It's called the automatic fill-in feature, and this is an exclusive feature to the Lighthouse platform. And it's basically changing the way that you fill holes in the calendar currently. So if you can think how your practice currently does this, and every office operates differently, but a lot of times practices that have a last minute or same day cancellation have a quick fill list that they access, or an unscheduled list from their management system. And that's all fine and well. However, it's then up to the office staff to determine whether or not that patient would be a good candidate to fill that spot. What Lighthouse has done is it took the manual process or the manual step out of the equation, and due to the algorithms that we have written, we would basically send a reminder to the office stating, would you like us to find a patient, or are you okay with leaving that open? So instead of having to pick and choose and sift for a patient, they simply just click that link and it automatically reaches out to a group of patients based on your quick fill list, based on your unscheduled list, and more importantly, based on when that patient particularly comes into the office. So if someone usually comes in around noon for a noon opening, they would be a pretty good candidate to send this text to. And since we're in full communication with the office, this has been proven to cut down on the time spent dramatically to find those potential patients, but more importantly, there's about a 25% response rate on these messages. So people are texting back, and it's just a much easier way to get in front of your potential patients to make sure that your schedule stays full. Now, in terms of messaging options, when looking for a software as well, it's very intuitive to be able to communicate in the mode of communication that that patient would like. So a lot of systems offer two-way texting capabilities. And nowadays, the industry average on confirmations through text message is upwards of 30%. So that means about a third of your patients, whether you have these capabilities or not, would prefer and would communicate back via text. And so that's a big chunk, and being able to communicate back and forth in that patient's preferred mode is very important. And so when looking for a system, you definitely want to have a way to do that, and make sure that not only these are HIPAA compliant, but make sure that these messages are encrypted as well. Now, being able to view schedules while out of the office is very important. I mean, the average dentist works 32 to 40 hours a week. So the rest of the time, they're not in the practice. However, patients don't know that. So being able to connect, being able to quickly look at a schedule while out of the office, it's important to have access to that. This will make your lives very, very easy. And whereas a lot of management systems give you access to that, certain communication systems give you access as well as the ability to communicate back and forth to them. And so that's going to be another big piece that you'll want to ask yourself as well, so that you could log in from your cell phone, and as you can see here, you can see a snapshot of a dashboard to make sure that you can put a cancellation or a emergency patient in a time slot that's available. And something that a lot of the millennial generation, and even prior to that, a lot of the people are looking for ease of payment, and being online all the time, a lot of the younger population sometimes prefers to make payments online. Now, while a very small percentage of dental offices do have this capability, it is something that a lot of communication systems have started offering. The biggest question you'll want to ask yourself is, one, does it integrate with my website? And two, what is the subsidiary company that's through? Having a recent partnership with PayPal, it is very crucial that you work with a company that has a reputable billing source as well, so that you know that those payments are as secure as possible. Another big piece to the communication industry is the reputation side. And there's a lot of talk and buzz around, are these reviews internalized? Are these survey forms? When searching for a product that does this as well, it's important not only that, A, they can reach out via email, B, reach out via text, but can that patient choose the way that they want to receive that communication? So something that's unique about a lot of services is they might be able to get feedback, but where does that feedback go? Good feedback is just as important as negative or bad feedback, because that can really help the office build and make amends from that point of view. So something that certain companies can do is vet the feedback before it goes out. So that is another important piece, so that you're able to not only get native feedback, but also control some of the feedback that is being posted. And then you want to ask yourself, what kind of integration does this have to the sites that matter and to the sites that people are looking at more frequently? So by taking those few things into consideration when choosing a communication platform, from a review aspect, that is very important. Now, all reminders are or should be not only tailored to the patient, but different based on the type of reminder that's going out. So I'm sure you all can think of times in the office where somebody doesn't schedule right away. And from a treatment perspective, these are typically your high-value patients. What certain systems can do is they can put patients into what's called like a treatment timeline. And due to the integration that some systems have with the management software, this allows the practice to be in control of when those messages go out. So industry-wide, what we've seen over about 15,000 clients that we surveyed last year, having a treatment reminding system increased case acceptance by upwards of 16% on average, which is a pretty big area of opportunity. Now, timelines, like I said, are not only separated based on scheduled versus unscheduled, but typically these are separated based on, you know, a recall or a treatment reminder. So as you can see, a lot of offices that don't have a system, I mean, every process is different, but a lot of times when somebody leaves, they'll get a card. Then about 2 to 3 days ahead, they'll get a reminder call. And at that point, if they don't answer, it's up to the staff to continue to call them. What a lot of these systems have done is they've added email, text, and then phone call. So we've seen a very high attrition rate here before it gets to the phone call portion that goes out. So the way that a lot of these systems operate is they want to reach out before that patient is forgetful. So immediately, let's send a save the date reminder. Instead of handing them a card, they now get a text or an email with a link to their calendar. Then a couple weeks ahead, they would get a reminder message, and then the week of would start the confirmation process. What is nice about some of these systems is, you know, once they get an email, we don't need to send a text or they don't need a phone call from your office. That just tends to be impersonal and very erroneous to the patient. So a big question to ask is, at what point does that system stop? And this all goes back on the syncing process of the platform. So if you have a system that syncs once a day, well, they're probably going to get multiple messages. But if you have a system that syncs very frequently, like every 10 minutes, that process would stop once the confirmation is read. And then another big area of opportunity is the recall portion. So confirmations are taken care of, treatment messaging is taken care of, but now one of the biggest time consumers in an office is unscheduled recall. So a platform such as Lighthouse is able to read continuing care for patients. So a big question to ask is, can they pick out the difference between a 3-month recall and a 6-month recall, or does that system group everybody into one timeline? With that being said, having a system that can differentiate means more correct messaging, which means your office looks more professional, which in turn means that more patients are going to respond in an appropriate manner and schedule those visits. So in terms of efficiency, what we do every year is we do an internal survey. So these are a few of the statistics from our 2016 survey. And with close to 15,000 offices, these are some of the numbers that we've seen reduce and then overall increase the production of the business. Less no-shows, less time on the phone, increase in practice production. Now, in terms of price points, every system is different. So when you're shopping around, it's very important to get quotes. Something that is a big driver for these as well, because in an ever so changing industry, it's important to be able to make a decision quick. You know, if you find something better in 6 months, why should I be able to move to that? Ask yourself, do these have commitments? How long are the commitments? Lighthouse is a month-to-month program, and we always have been, because contracts are not only a thing of the past, but we just don't see a huge need at all for contracts. You got to ask yourself, you know, why am I signing that commitment? But in terms of what services are offered, that is a big question you want to ask yourself. Like, hey, are there different packages? Are there different levels? Lighthouse just has one level. It has everything included that I showed you, and that is included with Lighthouse, and that is the price point of our program. So in short, setting systems up, very easy. Basically walking through an installation process is simple. You want to make sure before you move forward with a system how non-abrasive or abrasive that is to your server. So the question you want to ask is, do you do a drill sink or do you do a delta sink? And that's a very important question to ask, especially when you're dealing with your IT team, because that's going to influence how that affects the speed of your server that you have. So in short, I thank you for your time today, and I wanted to turn it back over to Darren for questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Yeah, a lot of great information there. You know, when we're out of practices, we're always getting questions about different strategies to reach patients, what is being the most effective tool being used. But there is a lot of confusion out there because there's a lot of noise in the marketplace, a lot of competition, a lot of different companies out there trying to find different solutions. So while we do, you know, have seen great success with Lighthouse, you know, there are a lot of options, but the points that Jimmy was making as far as what you should look for when finding what solution is right for you, those are definitely great tools and steps to go through. Again, you know, before you pick your solution, identify what you want that solution to do, and what type of resources it's going to take to make that work. So, Jimmy, we do have some questions that have come through, so I'm going to go ahead and just start. And if you can go ahead and respond to these. The first one that I have is, someone has open dental. What impact in terms of lag time does Lighthouse have on a server using open dental?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So the great thing about Lighthouse, for example, is we work with about 98% of the management softwares out there. So Open Dental being one of our top supported platforms. Our lag time is 0. So since we do a non-abrasive delta sink, it patches in every 10 minutes to read the changes that have only happened in that 10-minute interval. Whereas with a lot of other systems, it resyncs everything, which could greatly lag or slow down the server speed.
Okay. Another question is, let's see, which one should I do next here? So someone's asking, why should we have Lighthouse or any other patient communication system in addition to what our practice management system provides?
Gotcha. Okay. So one thing about the internal features, which nearly every practice management system provides, is around the fact that, you know, what can that do? Most of those services are very elementary. So, for example, let's say you have texting through your management system. Yeah, they can text out feedback, but the office is not able to respond to that feedback. So it's a one-way communication, not a two-way communication like we have. Or, you know, maybe for recall, they send out a message. But if you remember back to, you know, a couple of the things I was stating, well, recall is very intuitive, and it's important to understand that patient is not being communicated based on when their recall is. So if it's a 3-month recall, well, they're put into a generic 6-month timeline, whereas a company like Lighthouse is able to read that from the management software. So there's a lot of differences between having your own services through the management system versus what Lighthouse provides. But just keep in mind a lot of those little nuances that take place. Lighthouse is just able to read much more from the software and give your staff just a more abrasive tool to utilize in the office.
Okay. Next question here. What key features set your company apart from your competition?
Yeah. So one of the biggest features is going to be our sync process. So we are one of the fastest syncing systems on the market, if not the fastest, with your dental management system itself. Another thing is we are dental specific. So we've been in the dental space for 15 years. We've thought about moving into other industries, but at the end of the day, we were built by a dentist. We were built by her husband, who was her office manager, and we understand dentistry. So what you're getting with a tool like this is 15 years of knowledge, as well as a very fast syncing system that is completely integrated with your management system because it was built by a dentist for dentists.
Great. Let's see. I think that's all the questions that I have come through. Jimmy, thank you very much for your time. Again, to the listeners out there, the patient communication side it's definitely incredibly important to a practice. You know, we build probably see 20 to 30 new practices start up that we are involved with each year, but there's certainly more than that happening each year. And it's always fun to go back and see, in a couple years or so, which the practices that are really moving forward, because you want to see those practices grow. And one of the key items that we see of practices that do have successful first few years are people are taking advantage of the technology. They're taking advantage of marketing and putting a lot into marketing, and in that they're going ahead and they're making sure they're finding a patient communication system that works and fits for them. It is absolutely key to, and certainly a strong correlation to those successful practices getting going. So I would certainly continue to encourage everybody out there to look for a patient communication system. Lighthouse has answered certainly a lot of questions. If not Lighthouse, find something. Take advantage of the technology and the tools out there. They're proven solutions to definitely get the practice continuing to move forward to the growth that you're looking to get. Our next webinar that we're going to have will continue on the communication side and marketing side. It will focus on voice over IP, definitely a hot topic in all of business. That is going to be held by, presented by Freedom Voice, a company that we actually utilize on our side. So that's going to take place on September 14th, again, the second Thursday of every month at 1 o'clock. All of the webinars are available online. We continue to come join us for these monthly webinars. Invite your colleagues, view them at your leisure. And then if anything comes up that you have questions for and you certainly want to reach out and get more information, please let us know. Jimmy, do you have some contact information that you can share, or?
Oh, yes, I do. Let me pull that up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. All right. And so while he's pulling that up, you can see on our website that we've done webinars for everything ranging from HIPAA to building out a practice, to doing maximizing space in your dental practice, negotiating with insurance companies. We're trying to hit all of it. If there's a topic you'd like us to hit, let us know. We have one more piece that's going to be on the marketing, and then we're going to move into end-of-year preparation topics such as taxes and legal issues, and again, hit HIPAA one more time at the end of the year. But if there's a topic you'd like us to hit, just let us know. And Jimmy, do you want me to?
Yes.
All right.
So that's my direct number.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my direct number, and then that's my email address. Everything's forwarded to my cell because I travel quite a bit. I do all the dental conferences throughout the year. So if I don't answer right away, leave me a message, but I'll get back to you right away. If you just leave your practice name, contact name, phone number, I'll be sure to reach out.
Fantastic. Well, again, Jimmy, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our webinar. We look forward to seeing you at the next one on September 14th at 1 o'clock, where we discuss voice over IP with our presenter, Freedom Voice. Thank you again, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.